Well, Forsaken's been out for a few days, and for Destiny 2's launch, I did a first impressions video after 25 hours in the game. I have way more hours this time around, so let's do a quick first impressions. Jokes, it's not that quick. It's actually pretty long. There will be spoilers all over this, be warned. Go get some food, go get a drink, because we're going to be here a while. We shall start with the story. Improved over Destiny 2's story, in my opinion. We do have another situation where the main villain is basically nowhere to be found during the actual campaign, but at least it makes sense as he's chasing after the Dreaming City. And I actually had some form of an emotional response to the ending, where I actually felt a little bad for Uldren since he was basically delusional. If this were a regular RPG, I totally see the option of killing versus not killing him being a thing, and having the story continue from there. The final boss was completely out of left field, at least as someone who isn't a lore junkie. Again, I had an actual emotional response, even if it was just, oh my god, what is that? What the? Although it didn't have the spectacle that Gaul had. The Baron fights were all pretty cool and had their own flair to them. Some of them, dare I say, actually a little difficult, especially if you were underleveled. The Barons kind of reminded me of the bandits from Borderlands 2 a little bit, which I enjoyed. Each one had a unique encounter, which was great. They weren't too short of an experience if you were solo. I think my favorites were the Rider, Trickster, and Mindbender. If the Rider encounter had more of a racing element to it, I think it would have been really, really good instead of just kind of going back and forth, but that's okay. I originally thought this was going to be a pick-your-own-adventure sort of thing, but due to the level scaling, you had to do them in a specific order, which, you know, I understand. Tough to make it so you can pick whichever one you want, while also having all of them be at the proper difficulty level, unless Bungie can do some sort of on-the-fly scaling of encounters. I do want to see how Bungie handles their storytelling going into the future, though, since they said that they were going to be cutting back on a lot of cutscenes. The cutscenes in this were all great, and if they are cutting back as much as they claim that they are going to be, then I will sorely miss those cutscenes. The Spider is one of the cooler NPCs we've gotten in the game thus far. I think he's a pretty great character. It's nice to see Petra back. I wasn't cringing at half the dialogue in the game. Although, speaking of dialogue, do you know how many words our Guardian spoke in the campaign? It was 9. 9 words. Although, to be fair, that still is an infinite gain over the 0 that we spoke previously. The thing that I'm happy about most of all, though, is that the story is actually continuing into the endgame in the Dreaming City. We know what was up with Uldren. He was delusional and corrupted and all that. We got a little message from the Queen, but now we get the entire Dreaming City to go figure out and explore and learn about what the hell is actually going on. And I look forward to uncovering all of that, instead of the game just coming to a screeching halt like it did with Gaul. I really wanted Gaul to be the final raid boss of the first year of D2, or at least the first final raid boss. They made that experience so short, and while this campaign experience was about as long as I was anticipating, about 6 hours if you're going at a casual pace, maybe 8, at least there's still more to uncover. I polled my Twitch chat, and I'd say about 80%, if not more, liked Forsaken's story experience over D2 launch, at least so far, so take that for what you will. Moving on from story, let's talk new subclass trees. For the most part, great experience. I like that Bungie took a spin on the regular supers that we've had, and they changed them enough to make them feel different, but not too much that they're completely off the charts. All of the subclass blocks have crazy synergy with each other, which is fantastic. Not that the other blocks don't, but these especially really work together. My favorite so far is definitely Blade Barrage. If you don't feel something in your no-no zone every time you just burst an enemy from 100 to 0, or just lay a huge chunk of damage into something, I don't know what's wrong with you. Very satisfying super to use, very strong. The rest of the block has great synergy with itself and with a couple of exotics too. Well done. I basically only have unlocked the solar supers, so the others will have to wait until I unlock them. By the way, you can get another Seed of Light from doing Tier 2 Blind Well on the Dreaming City. It is a random drop. Moving on, we finally have our kiosks back from Destiny 1 in the form of collections, and we also have an achievement system in Triumphs, something the game has desperately needed. I have nothing to say about these except that they're amazing and I love them, and they're a huge quality of life upgrade to the game as a whole. I like being a completionist, I like having achievements, I like doing achievements, I like stat tracking. It is great. If we could only get kill tracking on exotics by default, that would be awesome, because I'm racking up a ton of kills on my Ace of Spades, and I want to know the kill count, and there's no masterwork for it right now. The leveling experience. This one is pretty interesting. We'll be talking about the power leveling experience, not the regular leveling experience. The game pushes you to 500 as fast as humanly possible. You will get it very quickly, just even by doing public events, even with you only getting one drop. It feels like the amount of levels you gain ramps up around 450. The game just goes, screw it, you're close enough, and just throws huge chunks of power at you. And then, at 500, you faceplant into a wall, and you need to go do your powerful reward bounties and activities, of which there are actually a lot. You have your dailies, which are the 4-pronged star icons, which reset every 4 days. The weeklies are the 6-pronged ones. Then there's bounties on top of that, on top of Valor, Glory, and Infamy level rank ups, and it appears that certain powerful rewards are worth more levels than other powerful rewards based on how difficult the activity is. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that will slowly level you. We don't want a situation where people are over-leveled for the raid on the first day, although at the rate some people are going, that might happen. I think the rate is estimated to be 550, probably scaling up from there. But this creates a problem where high-level activities, like 500 power strikes and Dreaming City events, are not even worth running at all. Heroic strikes are pointless to run, unless you're going for soft cap blues for whatever reason. Most of the non-powerful reward things in the Dreaming City reward soft cap items, and Dreaming City is essentially a 520 plus power level zone. It's a difficult problem to solve because of how quickly the game moves, unless you only want to be giving 1 power upgrades on armor per strike or something like that. If you give people unrestricted access to leveling up, then they're gonna hit max level quickly, and when you're chasing a world first raid completion, you want as much as you can get. It feels bad knowing that heroic strikes are back to being irrelevant, and that most of the things that I do on the Dreaming City aren't going to upgrade my light level unless it is specifically a powerful reward activity. I understand why, but it doesn't really make it feel any better. I wouldn't mind seeing heroic strikes be on the daily or even weekly lockout cycle, where you could run all of the Forsaken strikes and you can maybe get a tiny upgrade, and then after you've completed all of them the first time, then they go back to how they are, something like that. I understand. You know, give people an inch and they're going to take a mile. I do want to come back to this topic in another video after I've hit 600, if I think it's necessary to reevaluate this entire process. In terms of infusion and exotics, I like it more than I don't. If you're a 1 hour a week player, you probably don't like this. Infusion costs are much higher unless you're infusing the same items together. They now require masterwork cores. I know a lot of people are panicking about not having a lot of cores, but right now we just simply don't have access to a lot of masterwork level items. They will come, cores will come. I like that infusion is a higher cost now because you actually need to think about what to infuse now. Granted, ultra hardcore players will continue to not have that problem since you can just buy tons of materials, but if Bungie balanced the game around those people, it would cost 300 planetary materials for 1 upgrade, and nobody wants that. You need to make a decision about what to level. No more just spamming infusion on everything. That makes your choices much more valuable, which means organizing and planning a gear set, at least when first starting out. With the return of random rolls and armor getting perks again, on top of infusion costs, that's a lot to monitor, and for some less active players, I could see it being overwhelming or even tedious. But for more active players or players who really like getting into the nitty-gritty, it's pretty cool. As for not being able to re-roll Masterworks to the stat that you want, I would be okay with having the option back, I guess. People were just used to having it in year 1 of Destiny 2, and on top of having to get a God roll and getting the right Masterwork, I can see why people are annoyed. Although, having to get the right Masterwork does add to the getting a God roll experience. As for weapon and armor mods, Bungie did say that they were going to be rare, although they are a little bit rarer than I thought they were going to be. Again, when the raid is out, perhaps there will be more drops. I'm okay with mods being rare at the start. They can always buff drop rates, but if they were not very rare at all, then everyone just has a ton of mods, and then we don't care about them. Exotics being rare, I think, is somewhat good for the game. I've always been on the team of exotics should be rare to get because they're supposed to be these ultra powerful weapons, and it seems like Bungie has finally gone in that direction a little bit. Exotics are now actually rare. Again, they can buff drop rates later if need be. They can still drop from mundane activities, but the chance of that happening is significantly reduced. Getting a new Forsaken exotic should be a special moment. You should feel excited to get one. There should never be an expectation of being showered in exotics because then they just become like every other item in the game. I'm big on emotional response, in case you haven't been able to tell from this video. You should have some form of an emotional response to getting an exotic because that's what makes worth getting them. We're playing a loot game. Let me be excited to get loot. Xur, on the other hand, is still the same old Xur, and from what I remember, will not be selling Forsaken exotics for at least a little while, which I think is okay, but it kind of makes Xur... You know what I mean? The Faded Engram not showing up in week 1, by the way, is a bug. Xur... Something's got to happen with Xur for active players or veteran players. I don't know what, but it's got to be something, because right now it's just he's just eh. As for strikes, there are 2 new ones available now, Warden of Nothing and the Hallowed Lair, with Hallowed being story mission-esque. The PS4 exclusives, Lake of Shadows and Insight Terminus, are now available for all players, and then one more strike will be coming eventually. It seems like it's a Dreaming City strike. Warden of Nothing has been getting rave reviews as one of the best strike experiences across all Destiny strikes ever made, and I don't have a lot of reason to refute that claim by the masses. It is a great strike experience, and if you haven't experienced it yet, I would absolutely go run it. It is very, very good. I finally got to play Lake of Shadows as well. Yeah, not as impressed with that one. Destiny is at its best when it gets to show off how big it is, when it gets to show off its scale. That's part of why Warden of Nothing was good. That's part of why the Whisper mission was good. It's why a good chunk of the campaign elements were good. Even some Dreaming City Lost sectors feel crazier than they actually are. The scale. You are tiny and this place is big. It makes a huge difference to the feel of the experience. As for the Dreaming City, seems like the place is still being figured out right now. There are some secrets like the cats that are hidden around, some treasure chests, Ascendant challenges, the Blind Well, all of which I would like to cover in a video very soon as I have a grasp on it. But I have a feeling that things will be even more secret-y in the coming weeks, especially after the raid launches. I look forward to tearing the place apart, but it's tough to have an opinion on it right now when I believe we've only scratched the surface and I have barely touched it. I've done a couple of blind wells so far, and it seems like it also has a rewards issue, like I mentioned earlier. Blind well is pretty fun, but I have a strong feeling it will fall to similar fates that Escalation Protocol did in terms of matchmaking. I can't imagine there were a lot of completely randomly match-made people who completed a level 7 event in Escalation Protocol. And if power does scale up all the way to max for Blind Well, I think we're going to see the same fate. In terms of PvP, with skill-based matchmaking being toned down or turned off or whatever the hell they did, on top of the weapon changes, I am having fun with it again. The weapon changes didn't all of a sudden make me into a god of PvP or anything like that. I'm still basically the same caliber player. It's just nice not having to play against people who play on competitive Destiny 2 PvP teams every single game that I play. I'm actually pretty indifferent to the weapon changes for PvP as a result. My problem was much more the matchmaking than it was the sandbox. Shotguns are a little rampant right now. Wouldn't mind seeing that go down a little bit, but otherwise, PvP is at the very least bearable to play, and I like going into quick play and messing around. If the general public is totally fine with how PvP is right now, then I am certainly not going to say anything because I don't really have many issues of my own. Perhaps when a more defined meta starts to appear, then maybe we can have another discussion, but as of right now, it seems like most things are okay to use. Finally, Gambit. Gambit is the new mode, the PvEVP mode, and it's fantastic, and I love it, and it's great. We've talked about it a bunch already. I do have one note, though, on Gambit. A good amount of the time, it feels like the team that's ahead is actually at a disadvantage because the team that's behind can just spam invasions on you while they get almost free reign of their primeval. You'll get hit with their final moat deposits and an invasion and another invasion all back to back to back. Or at least that's what it feels like is happening. And while, yes, it is on you to, kill your invader, it can feel overwhelming at times to have to deal with all of that when you were initially winning the match. Being a little ahead just sometimes feels like a detriment more than a reward. So I would like to see that tweaked a little bit, but I also need to play a bit more Gambit in a full team as a solo to kind of get a better grasp on this situation. All in all, I am having a good initial experience with Forsaken. Destiny 2 at launch did not evolve the game at all and was actually more of a regression. With Forsaken, the game has gotten a lot better as a whole. The tone changes are very noticeable, we have a lot of quality of life improvements, and overall I think Bungie and their partners have really stepped up with Forsaken. How we'll feel about it a few weeks from now remains a mystery, but for now I think we're well within so far so good territory. Let me know your thoughts as well in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, a positive rating would be nice. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.